Fantastic. So we're at a new Over a Brew session. We're here in Cardiff and Vale College for a lovely event whose name I always get wrong, so I'm going to have to read it out. Reese has helped me out with that one. We're going to do introductions in a second. So we're the Wales AI community / collaborative AI funding in Wales, project outcomes and next steps. That is a mouthful.
It needs
You
an
don't want to
acronym.
say
That needs an acronym, doesn't it?
You don't want to say that 5 times fast. So thank you so much for joining us. We have 2 new guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to jump into some questions related to today's event and also what we're looking to do in terms of AI projects, what's happened, what's good, how this is the new tertiary system setup going to benefit from use of AI. So I'm just going to start with Marion. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Of course, thank you. My name's Marion Jebb. I'm Head of Learner and Workforce Engagement at MEDA, so that's the new Commission for Tertiary Education and Research in Wales.
Lovely.
Hi, I'm Rhys Daniels. I'm GISC's Director for Wales, so I'm our strategic lead in Wales here and responsible for our relationship with MEDA, as well as other kind of key stakeholders around the sort of the sector and who wrap around our members too. So yeah, pleased to be here.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us. That's why I wore a jacket, actually, is because I'm with people who have lots of strategy around their titles. So yeah, thank you for joining us. It would be good to really start by talking about what are your general reflections on what's happened with the AI projects in Wales, and pick on any of them, because I know we've been talking today about the projects that have been run this year, but obviously the Trailblazer projects happened the year before, and there's lots of work being done in the background. So please feel free. What are your reflections on it? What do we think about them?
I'll start, shall
Yes,
I, Ruth?
please. Yeah.
The Trailblazer projects were a series of 6 FE projects that we funded. So I've come into MEDA from Welsh Government and I've taken the digital learning portfolio along with me. So I've been involved in this for a while. What I think is the first thing that's really been noticeable for me in supporting those projects, working with the sector and with Reese and the team at GISC on this, is the huge diversity of topics and areas where colleges are hoping to use AI. So there are some obvious really big things to do with teaching and learning, learner support, bureaucracy and workload is a huge issue in FE and always has been,
Definitely.
assessment. But the number of different ideas and innovations that colleges have thought of and been interested in, it's been very varied. So all of the projects that we've funded have been focusing on different aspects of AI. And then most recently, the main project that we've been talking about at the event today is a collaborative project by the AI community, which has been looking at e-learning resources for both students and staff in FE. So that's a different topic again.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me at the moment is the sheer range of potential uses and ideas for AI out in the sector. And it really does illustrate it's not one thing or one tool or even one set of things. It can be almost anything, and almost every aspect of work in FE could potentially be transformed.
I love that. What do you think, Reese?
Yeah, I think I think echoing what Marion said, I mean, I kind of came into GISC just under a year and a half ago, and so the Trailblazer projects were kind of already up and running. But when I came in, it was the diversity of projects, which I found really interesting. And I think now on reflection, you know, it kind of mirrored that exploratory phase around where FE was with AI at that particular time.
Yes.
And I think, you know, listening to some of the conversation at, you know, the event today, there's a lot more about what next. And I think that's really positive.
Yeah.
And I think it's all, representative of the timing and how exploration with AI has gone. Having seen the collaborative AI project and the e-learning module which was developed, you know, I think collaboration is such a strength in Wales, and I think the fact that this community has continued to grow and snowball and collect new members all of the time, whether that's from FE, work-based learning, even wider sort of stakeholders, really important stakeholders in FE in Wales, like Qualifications Wales, for example, is testament of the good work that's going on here.
Yeah.
And it's keeping on top of that now, as has been mentioned in today's session already, and making sure that the commitment is there, and we are committed at JISC to be there to support this and to continue to improve resources as we go along.
I totally agree with that. This seems to be everyone has done a lot of the exploration bit. Everyone is ready and is well, people in the room in particular are advocates of trying to develop new stuff. And I think if we're looking at that digital transformation type of wider or longer type of timeline, you can see people want to know kind of how that fits into it. And like you were saying, use of AI has so many possibilities, and people are trying slightly different things, but at the same time we're trying a lot of the same tools, and it's great to get together and chat to people. So I guess this brings us really nicely to how do we see then AI impacting the tertiary system in Wales? How do we, where's its place?
Something I've really noticed in FE particularly is that sense of potential and excitement around AI. And I do think that contrasts with maybe some other education sectors and some other employment sectors where the discussion is quite ruled by anxiety. What does it mean? Can we trust it?
Yes.
I don't think it's that those anxieties and fears aren't justified, but it's that balance, isn't it? And in FE, the balance I've seen is much more towards, oh, here's something really exciting. How can we apply our creativity and invention to it? Which is typical of how FE
Of course.
tends to work. So what I'm hoping we'll be able to do is, first of all, really look at some of the examples of practice that have emerged in different parts of the tertiary sector so far. My feeling is there's quite a lot of common ground there in terms of the particular challenges that institutions are facing and the potential for AI to help with those challenges. So some of the things to do with workload, with creative assessment, particularly with things that we've been talking about in the event today around overcoming barriers to participation. So we've talked quite a lot about additional learning needs and learners with particular support needs, neurodiverse learners, all of those areas. Those are challenges and characteristics in all parts of education. So actually that I'm hoping is going to create some real focal points for people to come together. And again, it's not about AI as an end in itself. It's about what are some of these collective challenges that we're all dealing with? What tools can we use? What are we already using? What have we seen to work or not work? And how can we learn together from that? So I think it seems like such an obvious opportunity and area where we can bring together some of those discussions that are maybe happening separately in different parts of the tertiary
It
sector.
really does. And I love the idea of looking at creatively at assessment, a multimodal type of approach to it would be great, and AI can help with that. I love that. I don't know if you want to come in on this. But great, by the way, answer there.
Yeah.
Top marks for that.
Yeah, it's good going after Marion actually, because I can just sort of say the same.
Yes, yeah, yes, yeah. What Marion said.
But yeah, and you mentioned that I think what is AI's place, and I think what's really interesting is more how AI kind of embeds itself across the tertiary sector. Not that it has a separate place.
Yes, yeah.
That it just becomes part of the tertiary sector, and I think I mean, some of the stuff that really kind of excites me about AI is things around personalized learning, learner-centered education, where learning can be tailored to meet the individual's needs, which of course can only have a positive impact on learner outcomes, which I think I mean, that's what we're all here for.
Yes, of course.
Is to provide those opportunities to sort of learners within Wales. Undoubtedly the opportunities that not just educators, but educators, support staff can have to free up time, and how can that time be best spent? And
Yes.
I mean, it has to be around the learner, and everything has to be learner centered, and this is a great AI presents great opportunities. And we talked earlier about moving from that kind of exploratory phase into more of a kind of a doing phase, and that's what's exciting about this bit,
Yes.
I think. I think the other kind of opportunity is the impact that AI can have on data and data collection. I think that's something
That's awesome.
to be explored. You know, and I think the you know, how AI can collate data, how it can be utilized then to influence the thinking of Meta, you know, how it can be, you know, Welsh government and even ministers,
Yes.
you know, and the positive impact that that can have on the tertiary sector. But also, I think the final one for me is how do we close the digital skills gaps, and how can we utilize AI to do that? You know, where the outcome of that surely has to be that then there are more skilled people in Wales to fill jobs, to keep jobs in Wales, to keep people in Wales, and I think that's all really important as well.
I love that. And I just want to pick up on the personalized learning. And I think a lot of people talk about time saving. And the caveat of what did you added at the end there is so important. What are we going to do with our time? Because
Yeah.
everyone says, you know, we're too busy. Cool. What's the best way to use that time afterwards? Which is feeds into that narrative of AI needs to help with other things, but it's not just about AI. I was chatting the other day with a colleague about personalized learning, and I swear it was like describing a unicorn and saying, you know what a unicorn is? Yeah, I know. It's got a horn, and yeah, it's about, you know, more time for the individual. But what is it? I don't know. It's a unicorn. It looks like a horse. And sometimes we're describing things, and the only way we can do it is by really starting projects, especially around personalized learning. It's one of those. It's such a big task.
Yeah.
There are so many implications. We can only achieve it by collaborating and furthering that collaboration, which really brings us to the next thing. You know, how do we see this type of sector collaboration? Why is it important, and what does it give us?
Something that I've noticed, so collaboration it's an interesting one and a challenging area, isn't it? Because everybody wants it, everybody
Yes,
agrees with it. Doing it well is difficult because it needs time, it needs resource, it needs people to give ground as well, and to
love
give
it.
up some territory and some sovereignty. That's not easy, I don't think, for any of us. So what I've found in the work that we've been doing over the last few years to support collaboration in the FE sector, and we've used some of our funding to do that, and to help drive that way of working, is that where you've got an area where everybody's able to concede, we don't have the answers yet,
Yes,
we're all at the same starting point, I can make myself a bit vulnerable to admit that, and I'm not expected to know everything and to have all the answers. That's really fertile ground for collaboration, because people can then be open, they can be transparent, they can share maybe what they've tried that hasn't worked, which is just as important as the successes, and sharing what does work, because we need to learn from each other. So I think what we've seen in the AI community that JISC has been supporting is that real willingness and enthusiasm to work together, and to collaborate, and to do that in very practical ways of saying, actually, I've tried this out and that bit didn't quite work, but that bit did. And a lot of it, I think, again, we've seen it in some of the examples that have been talked about already in the event today, are some of those really small nuggets of information that switch a light on for somebody. They go,
yes, yeah.
oh, great. Well, have you tried that? Or maybe I can try this aspect of it, and I can build on what you've done and take it further. That's the real benefit, I think, of what we're trying to do. And if we can have the kind of communities and events that we're doing with AI that will open up that space and time and opportunity for people to do it, I think we're really pushing it an open door, aren't we?
That's awesome. Just I know it links to it. Is how do we see the student experience then changing because of AI? How do we see it developing? I know you mentioned already personalized learning, and
Yeah.
maybe that's something you want to pick up on. But just so we can end on this bit, how do we see it? So we can look a little bit at the future. How might student experience look like because of AI developments?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're already seeing the impacts of, you know, how AI can influence student experience, and, you know, from things like chatbots, which are available around the clock to sort of support students with their needs, and coming back to that kind of personalized learning experience, also that kind of personalized feedback
Mhm.
that individual learners can receive in support of AI. I think rightly so, learners have or can expect their learning experience to be more flexible moving forward, more responsive, more inclusive,
Awesome.
and can expect to be able to to improve accessibility, and that could be from a range of different areas, from learning difficulties, but also exploring easier use or access to bilingual learning in Wales.
Yes.
One of the key sort of parts of our work at JISC over the next academic year will be forming a strategic relationship with the Coleg Cymraeg Cenedlaethol, and looking at how we together explore what the solution is, what digital solutions are available to support and enhance bilingual learning more.
Lovely.
But I think, yeah, in general, I think I would like to think, at least my optimistic mind says that it's an opportunity to improve a sort of learner experience, but then we, as a sector, as a regulator and a funder, need to make sure any decisions are learner centered first and foremost.
I love that. I think you had all teachers at 24/7 chatbots, for those who've had messages from learners at 11 o'clock before a deadline. You don't want those messages. Yeah. Sorry, Marion. Do you see it similarly, or is there anything you want to add to what Reece said?
Very similarly, in that there's one other thing that I do want to add, and that's, I think we all know the genie's out of the bottle. So maybe a year or two ago, the debate in education was all about, well, should we let students use AI in assignments? That ship sailed, hasn't it?
Yes, it really has.
It means a different skill set that's needed for learners. It means, I think, that those critical thinking, healthy skepticism,
Yes.
evaluative skills, to actually engage with the material that AI might be providing them
Yes.
with, and add value to it and use it effectively. And actually, maybe those are some of the same skills that they may need in employment in the jobs of the future as well,
Of course.
because of course AI is becoming more and more prominent in the workplace, and a lot of learners will be, the roles that they'll be doing in the workplace will be changing and will be strongly shaped by AI, but they will need to develop those skill sets to be able themselves to adapt to it and to use the information effectively and not take it at face value.
Yes.
I'm already seeing AI used in job applications,
Yes.
for example, but there's a good way and a bad way of doing that.
Yes.
There's a way of leaving the prompt in and you leave
Yes,
the
yeah.
generic information. It's not that.
Definitely.
So actually, that I think there's a role for education professionals to be supporting learners to critically engage with AI and
Yes.
absolutely use all of the fantastic opportunities it provides, but you use it with that critical eye and that level of discernment. So again, that's a different role and a different challenge for educators as well.
I love that. I mean, if you looked at the news recently, I don't know if you saw the articles on BBC about the shadow AI problem that everyone's discovering in the workplace. That people are smuggling in. I think the word was they used, they're smuggling AI into the workplace. And I totally agree that our roles collectively are to build those skills, to create transparency and opportunity to use AI in a productive way. When I was reading those, the fact that, by the way, shadow AI is a term I absolutely love to start off with, but it, like you said, it adds to that discussion of, if we don't make something available, if we don't build those skills, people will still use it, but they'll use it in incognito mode, and that's not what we want, isn't it?
No.
We want to build those skills. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking part in Over a Brew. I know you're much healthier than I am. This is my 5th coffee. You're on drinking water and everything else. But thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate your input, and hopefully you'll come back again.
Absolutely, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Ivy.
Thank you.